surgeon?
Orthopaedic surgeon, yes. Yes. So he's based in Sydney because we're this far away in Temora.
Yeah.
We're based probably like over 5 hours away.
Yeah.
So instead of having to go back for the checkups and everything, he was just quite happy to do it through a teleconference.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And so how were you referred to that service that your son used?
I think that was referral through the Brett Fritsch office, the orthopaedics, and through to my local GP as well. So they sort of lined it up, if that helps with the answer.
Yeah, that's perfect. And what was the payment process when you were getting teleconferencing?
It's bulk billed.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was Medicare, yeah, bulk billed.
Gorgeous. And how did you feel about that service, about receiving service through?
Oh, brilliant. Like I said, it just helped us so much that we didn't have to travel, obviously, so far.
Yeah.
Just, like a 15-minute appointment, because basically that's what they are.
Wow. So you would have had to have travelled 5 hours for a 15-minute appointment?
Over 5 hours just to receive probably 15, 20 minutes to say, yep, you're doing well, blah, 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 do this. So it was very handy.
Yeah, that's really handy. And you finished using that service now?
No, because my son 4 years ago had he had a full knee construction, and unfortunately he's just done it again. So we're in the same process. My son just actually used teleconference again last week.
I'm sorry you did it again, Paul.
Yes,
That's very painful. And
damn sports.
Yep, sports, it'll do it to you every time. And were there any barriers for you in accessing that telehealth process? Did you find there were any challenges or barriers?
No. Look, the whole service and the whole process of it was just ran smoothly. Like I said, it was basically ring the orthopaedics office, and they actually line the appointment up between themselves. And then we just got a phone call, this is the day and this will be the time.
So they told you the day and time, you didn't
get to choose? Yeah, they did it because they had to obviously work it between when the doctor was free and then when the surgeon was free. So they lined it all up themselves.
Great. Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. And no problems with the internet when you were doing that process?
Well, that was at the doctor's surgery, and as far as I know, there wasn't. They all ran smoothly.
Oh, okay, it was at the doctor's surgery. Yep. Okay, great. And so how did your child come to be using the Royal Far West Telecare service, Sharon?
Now, JB came with quite a few difficulties when he came to our care.
So you're a foster carer?
Kind of, yeah. We've just been having him on and off since he was 4 weeks old, but he came with us full time in 2015. Yeah, so a few complications there with the family and stuff, but yeah. So obviously, when he came with me full time, I felt like I had the power to pursue his health and all the difficulties that he was having.
Yeah.
So I started taking him to a paediatrician. And the paediatrician was the one that told me about Mighty Minds.
Great.
So that's how obviously it was linked with Royal Far West when we started using Mighty Minds. I found the process quite quickly considering how high the demand is.
Great.
And such a huge waiting list, but they pushed it pretty quick for us.
Right.
And that's when we started obviously the teleconference there sort of through to Alex with Mighty Minds, yeah.
Gorgeous. And when was that in 2016? Or?
Yes, it would have been, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you say there was a long wait list, do you know how long that wait list was?
Now you're testing me.
I know. Everyone's like,
I just remember when the paediatrician gave me the number and they said just be aware that there is probably quite a long waiting list to actually start the whole process with Mighty Minds. I probably got contact with them within a few weeks of me calling them. It just asked me different questions about JB. I think they needed to sort of get a bit of an understanding of what was going on and how severe it was.
Sure.
And I would say it could have been a time frame of 2 months, maybe.
Okay. From when you
till I actually started having the conference with the psychologist there, yeah.
Right. And Okay, and who was asking you the questions when you initially called? Was it a clinician or was it a telecare coordinator? Do you remember? I know everyone's like, I don't
I really don't remember that. Look, it might have been, just trying to think, because I know I didn't speak to Alex straight away. She was the psychiatrist. Yeah. So, look, I really can't answer that. Sorry.
Okay, you are so sweet. Yeah, some of these questions, like, everyone's like, dude, that was like a year ago.
That's okay. Yeah, look, I just wish I could reply to it, but I'm just,
You are gorgeous. Really... Anything you can remember is very helpful. And so, if the Royal Far West Telecare Service didn't exist, where would it's Xavier? Is that right, Xavier?
Sorry.
He's not your son. He's your. What would you call it?
I would say I'd class him. Yeah, we actually class as his carer.
Yeah, his carer. So and his name is Xavier. Is that right?
JD.
Oh, JD. Sorry, I thought you were saying Xavier. So so if JD didn't access that service via Royal Far West Telecare, where would you have tried to get him the service, if at all?
Look, because I've never actually really sort of needed that sort of access to quite a few specialists and that, I don't know, to be honest, what we would have done without Mighty Minds and Royal Far West.
Yeah.
I think because we're so limited to what services are around here for children that need that extra care.
Yeah.
And only because JD's at school, he didn't qualify to go to Kurrajong and early intervention and all that because he was at school. So I really can't answer that correctly because I don't know where we would be without them.
That's okay. Oh,
I would say we would have to be travelling back and forth to Sydney somewhere for it.
Yeah.
For the help that we needed.
Whereabouts is your paediatrician located?
Wagga, which is 85 k's away.
Sure.
So we still have to do some kind of travel anyway.
That's a lot.
So
85 k's away, so it's a 170 kilometre round trip to see the...
Oh, yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's far. Okay.
And that's to every specialist that we're actually going back and forth to.
How many specialists are you seeing?
JD has to see a speech pathologist.
Yep.
He sees them every fortnight, and that is probably about a 70k trip to there and back every fortnight.
Whoa.
JD also, he required his eyes to be fixed, had to have an operation on both eyes because they were terribly turned. So we had to travel to the eye specialist for that, which was in Wagga. Same thing, 85 k's back and forth. And he went on the 12-month public waiting list to get his eyes fixed.
Oh, no.
We actually have an appointment with them again on Thursday.
Yep.
So there's another trip for us.
Yep.
He had to have he's looking at his ears, nose and throat. He's having his tonsils and adenoids taken out October this year. So the ENT, we're back and forth to them, which is in Wagga as well.
Wagga, okay, yep.
JD now from Royal Far West told us that JD also needs to, his paediatrician told him that they'd like him to follow up seeing a child psychologist.
Yeah.
Obviously we have none here in tomorrow, so that's going to be travel there as well when I find someone.
Right.
Yeah, so it's pretty full on. And obviously because JD's got extreme ADHD, we had to travel back and forth to see the paediatrician. That's probably going to be ongoing at the moment for the next 3 months. And she's in Wagga.
I mean, that's a full-time job in itself, Sharon.
It's a full-time job in itself, just caring and running around and everything for him. Yeah. I mean, I've got children of my own. My youngest is 5, plus I'm juggling 2 jobs as well.
Yes.
So it gets a bit hectic, yeah.
You're a very gorgeous mum and human.
Thank you.
That is a huge amount of travel. And what about for the speech? Do you remember what the waiting time for speech was?
Speech was really quick because that was just at community health over in Cootamundra. So speech was quite quickly. They were really good. They got us into speech straight away.
Yeah. And you mentioned that JD didn't qualify for Kurrajong early intervention because he'd already started school.
No, because when he first